Hello guys, welcome to the market commentary for today. It is Thursday, December the 16th. Hopefully your week is going well in the trading world and also preparing for Christmas and hopefully winding down as well. My name is Becky. My email address is here. It's becky@tradictive.com. There's also support@tradictive.com. So there are two different email addresses that you can get hold of us on if you have any questions about what I cover. I'm just going to cover the disclaimers. So, there they are, top left hand corner, so please read them. They're obviously there to make sure that you guys understand from a legal perspective how these things work, but also so that you get an understanding of what you can expect from these kind of videos. So if you are new to the 3D market commentary, let me explain real quick what this is. It's a video that we do every day, Monday to Friday, after the US or just before the US market opens. And we do this to expand on an email that we send out to our free members every day, Monday to Friday. So on that email, we go through 5 different markets, and for each of the markets, we expand on 3 different elements that give them probability and statistics. So that's why we call it a 3D market commentary, because we look at 3 different elements to give us a statistical understanding of these markets, and we look at that for different markets. So I'll show you that in a second. Now, like I said, if you have questions, you can email us, but you can also go to this link here, tradewithufos.com/Becky. From this link, you can get different apps and platforms, some of which are free. You can book one-on-one coaching if you'd like. You can also come down here and you can post a question in this public space, which is brilliant because if you post a question in the public space, we can answer it there. So we all learn from the same area. And we can all come to this place to hopefully you might be able to find the answer that you're looking for from previous questions that have been submitted, or you're doing somebody else that favour later down the line. Okay, so let's go back to and have a look at our 3D market commentary, the news flash, that's what we call it. And of course, everything that's on this document, which is in the email we send out, is relevant to market data. So we'll look at that too. So, as I said, it's a 3D approach because we look at 3 different elements. The first one we look at is market climate. Essentially, where are the probabilities for that market to go up, go down, or not really go anywhere? Are the probabilities there for us to be buying, selling, or doing nothing? We use an app to help us. It's called AutoClimate. It's a free app on most platforms you can get it on. And what AutoClimate does is it tells us where the probabilities are, basically. So if we have a thick red dot, that tells us probabilities down. So if we're going to do anything, we should sell. If we've got a thick blue dot, probabilities up, we should buy. If it's a thin dot of either colour, that tells us not enough probabilities, don't do anything. So we use this app to help us figure out whether we should be buying, selling, or doing nothing. Now, of course, there are more layers on top of this, but this is the first thing we should be thinking about when we trade, right? Now, the second element that we look at is where specifically should we be buying and selling? Where do we have higher probabilities? This is where we look at buy and sell UFOs. UFO stands for unfilled orders. And what UFOs do, in fact, what I'm going to have to do is just squidge price a little bit there so we can see both. Let's come back to this. What UFOs are showing us where we have buyers and where we have sellers, and lots of them. Why is that helpful? Because lots and lots of buyers are likely to push the price upwards. Lots and lots of sellers are likely to push the price downwards. So we want to know where they are to give us an idea of where we should be buying and selling. Again, we use technology to help us, an app called AutoUFOs. It's a paid for app and it costs different amounts on different platforms. So check that out on our website. But with our UFOs, we can use them to say, these green ones, that's where lots of buyers are. These red ones, that's where lots of sellers are. So we'll look at that per market. And then the third thing we look at is market volatility. How quickly are these markets expected to move? So we'll look at each of those elements per market, starting with the S&P 500, which is the top 500 US stocks. Now bear in mind, everything that we're looking at here is relevant to daily charts. Okay, so different things happen on different time frames. We're looking at a daily chart here. So with the S&P 500, top 500 US stocks, we have a thick blue dot on our AutoClimate telling us probability is upwards. We're also at the start of what would be a normal move to the upside. So we've got room for it to continue based on what usually happens. Now, in terms of buy and sell UFOs, we have buy orders just beneath us between 4676.75 to 4596.25. That's where we have buyers. So overall, probability up here on the S&P. In terms of volatility, we have an expected move in a year of 18.42%. So that means in a day, movements up or down by 54.91 points. In a week is 120.87 points up or down. And in a month, 251.62 points. So that is the S&P 500. The next market is going to be crude oil. As I load crude oil, just check out here different courses that we offer. Depending on what you need, obviously depends on which courses make more sense for you. But most of our courses come with a 3-month complimentary access to the apps. Now, AutoClimate is a free app on most platforms you can get it on. AutoUFOs is a paid for app. Depending on which platform you use, depends on the cost. You can subscribe directly to them. You don't have to do a course in order to get the UFOs, but most of the time it's actually cheaper to do that, get a course and the UFOs, than it would be to just get the UFOs. So check that out. Okay, so crude oil, we have a thick red dot, probability downwards. Now, something to bear in mind, we do have probability downwards for the time being, but we have buyers in our way. So we've got selling pressure coming from the climate. The probabilities are down, so selling pressure there. But we've got buyers just underneath us pushing price up. So we've kind of got two different forces kind of acting against each other right now. The buyers are between 69.49 to 62.43. And we have sellers up here at 79.23 to 77.98, but they're of course a little bit further away. So overall, I would say we don't have clear probabilities in crude oil in either direction at the moment on a daily chart, because we've got buyers and sellers very, very close to each other, pushing against each other. Whoever has more is going to win. So we'll see that over the coming days, see what happens. With volatility in oil, we would expect it to move up or down in a year by 56.53%. So in a day, 2.55 points up or down. In a week, 5.61 points. And in a month, 11.68 points. So that's crude oil. The next market is gold. As I load gold, again, just to point down here about the different coaching and support that we offer, we do a bunch of stuff for free. So you can join us on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and places like that for free sessions. We also have a closed coaching community, which gives people access to more of our time in a closed environment. You can check that out as well. So with gold, we have confirmed downwards climate, thick red dot, probability downwards. However, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. Gold hasn't really done anything for a good few weeks now, just kind of bounced around, not really done much. We have sellers quite a way away and we have buyers quite a way away. That's kind of why it doesn't really know what it's doing. It could mean that it flails about more widely, but in this case with gold, it's not really done much. So the sellers are between 1873.3 to 1844.2. And the buyers are between 1652.8 to 1624.4. At the moment, overall probability to the downside with gold, but like I said, it's not brilliant because it's not close to buyers or sellers to really enhance that point, right? So with volatility, we'd expect gold would move up or down in a year by 15.54%. So in a day, 17.49 points up or down. In a week, 38.51 points. And in a month, 80.17 points. That is gold. Okay, so the next market is the US dollar. So let's load this. As I load this, just to make a point that, of course, everything we're looking at is to do with probabilities and statistics, not to do with definites. Nothing is ever definite in life, especially not in the markets. But we want to make sure that if we're trading, that we have at least the majority of probabilities on our side. That's why we look at the statistics and the likelihoods that comes from technology to give us an idea of what's more likely to happen. And then we can act off the back of that. We can make decisions off the back of that. But like I said, nothing's guaranteed. Manage our risk just in case anyway. So with the dollar, we have thick blue dot, probability upwards. However, something that happened yesterday is kind of fighting with this. So we have sellers up here between 97.81 to 96.79. They already worked here to push price down, and they've worked here, that was yesterday, pushing price down again. So So overall, what we have there are sellers that have pushed price down a few times before, pushing price down again now. Now we have probability up from the climate, but like I said, sellers that have recently started to push price down. Now, as it's on its way down, it may reach our buyers down here that are between 95.595 to 94.965. They've already worked. We had price come into these buyers here and were pushed up by these buyers. The buyers are still there. So at the moment, the dollar is kind of in between big stacks of buyers and sellers that have both already worked to push price up or down respectively. Overall, probability up with the climate, but I would say at the moment probably best to keep out of the US dollar if you trade it on a daily chart anyway, just because we've got kind of conflicting things going on and it's in this tight range between buyers and sellers. So we'll see what happens with that and we'll see who wins out and gets that sort of majority in its favour. With volatility, we'd expect movement up or down in a year by 5.85% for the US dollar. So that's 0.35 points up or down in a day, 0.78 points up or down in a week, and 1.63 points up or down in a month. So that's the dollar. The last market that we have is backed Bitcoin. So let's pull that up. Now with backed Bitcoin, we have a thick red dot, probability down. We have sellers above us, literally where I think we're just within them. Yep, just within them at the moment. They're between 51,975 to 48,650. And we are just within them. Again, already worked a few times to push price down a little bit. So again, sellers pushing price down at the moment. In the case of Bitcoin, we've got quite a way to go before we hit buyers that are between 32,820 to 31,615. So overall, probability to the downside here for Bitcoin. Now with volatility, we'd expect Bitcoin would go up or down in a year by 85.72%. So in a day, that's 2,646.6 points up or down. In a week, 5,826.23 points up or down. And in a month, 12,128.26 points up or down. So that's Bitcoin. So now we've looked at each of our 5 markets, and for each of them, what we've looked at is the climate, where the probabilities lie, up, down or nowhere. Buy and sell UFOs, where we have buyers and sellers that could push price up or down respectively. And we've looked at volatility, how quickly we expect these markets to move. Last thing to look at here is our weekly economic calendar, which we get from fxstreet.com. We filter by high impact news because we want to know which news reports are coming out that might have an impact on the markets and increase volatility. Increasing volatility usually increases risk, can also increase reward. That's why we want to know about it as traders so that we can make informed decisions about it. We don't necessarily care what the news is, we just care that it may have an impact and then make the decision based on volatility. So for today, we've already had a bunch of news that has come out on the euro and the pound. Up until, so there's going to be one last piece of news or one last report coming out at, I think that says 9:30. Might be 8:30 Eastern time on the euro, and then later on this evening, late this evening, some news coming out on the Japanese yen or Japanese markets. So if you trade the euro or European markets, or if you trade the Japanese yen or Japanese markets, be aware that you might see some extra volatility. Okay, so please go to, if you have any questions, tradewithufos.com/Becky. You can then perhaps look and see that there might be answers to your questions already here, or you can post a new one. You can also get, like I said, apps and platforms, some of which are free from here. You can book one-on-one coaching. And of course, you can email me if you need as well, which is becky@tradictive.com. I'll be back tomorrow for tomorrow's 3D market commentary. Otherwise, guys, have a great trading day and I'll see you in the morning. Take care. Bye-bye.